Spirit, thunder!
Amen. Little whoop-de-woo. Make you feel good, doesn't it? Used to have an old gal in the church. I used to do praise and worship in the church. I know, don't hold it against me. I did. 6 years I did it. Now that's got to be like a world's record. I don't know. In an Assembly of God church, of all things. I did it for 6 years. Let me tell you something, ain't no hurt like church hurt. That's for another time, another sermon. Ain't no hurt like church hurt. But anyway, I had this old gal that used to tell my dad all the time, because my old hippie daddy was the preacher. He didn't go back into a church to preach in a church until he was 60. And from 60 to 70, he spent 10 years doing that. And he ran a youth ministry. He was a campus life director from the time I was like, we came to Dixon, Illinois when I was 3, from a little town called Manlius, Illinois. My folks were originally from Peoria. And my dad, as a young man, early 20s, took on that position. That's a whole other story for another night too. But anyway, he stayed out of the church and ran that youth ministry, and then got into all kinds of, my daddy is really, really, really deep in the Lord, and really, really Pentecostal. I mean, really Pentecostal. And really open. His beliefs are, well, we have a lot of good discussions. I'm so grateful that I still got him in my life, but we have a lot of good discussions that if the Christian folk heard us, they'd probably go, ooh, is that blasphemy? But we really get into some crazy stuff, you know. But anyway, in that Pentecostal church, which, let me rephrase that, in that Assembly of God church, which was kind of Baptist-costal, I don't know if you I hear some laughing, so y'all know what I'm talking about. Kind of Baptist. They didn't really know what to think of me and my old hippie daddy, right? So he brings me in about 4 years into his thing, right? He does a 10-year thing from 60 to 70. He brings me about 4 years in, because that's when I come back to the Lord. And I'm like, hey, Dad, I think God's telling me I need to get in the church out there and do some praise and worship. Boy, was that crazy. But God knew what he was doing, because it was a battlefield. And I needed it for everything that I do today. I needed to go through that 6-year period. And just real quick as a side note, if you think you're too old for God to use you, baloney. Open your Bible and read it. Okay? There's a lot of people in there that were way older than you, me, all of us, that were getting called upon by the Lord to do some crazy things where I'm sure they were like, really? Me? But anyway, there used to be an old gal in there. This is a long way around. See, I'm preaching. This is a long way around to tell you that there used to be this old gal that used to come up to my dad and go, I don't really care for your son's rock and roll music in this church. I don't need that whoop-de-woo. And I was having lunch after a Sunday service with my parents, and they were kind of laughing, and my dad goes, she don't need your whoop-de-woo. I said, you know, I don't even know what that means, but doggone it, I'm full of the whoop-de-woo, so she gonna have to get used to the whoop-de-woo.
Maybe that's the next album. Bring it on the whoop-de-woo. Write that down, Sherry. Help.
Write that down. We need that. Album number 7. Bring it on the whoop-de-woo. So anyway, I tell you what, man, the one that brings to mind, and Glenn touched on it, and I know that's probably a reoccurring theme in here all the time, because this is getting out the gate stuff. This is trying to follow Jesus 101. You notice I didn't say being a Christian. I said trying to follow Jesus 101, which is you got to love everybody. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, some days I might not like him a whole lot, but I gotta love him, right? I'm just kidding.
I'll quit the band.
I like him all the time.
I'm out.
Some days I don't
I'll
like.
take my whoop-de-woo and go.
I like him. I like him all the time. Actually, Gage, some days I don't like him.
You don't like
Anyway, it's hard to love those people who make themselves your enemy.